Hello and welcome to another edition of the Midday Update. I'm Gerard Ratnam, sitting in for Jesse Chahal. We've got a very interesting lineup of guests for you today, but we begin with this. Tan Sri Yassin has the usual executive powers of a prime minister, even if he's only in the position as a caretaker. Now, Caretaker PM should not make major policy decisions during this time, or at least that's what's being said. This is only by convention and apparently is not a binding rule. Now, according to the comptroller of the royal household, His Majesty the King has consented for Tan Sri Yassin to be the caretaker PM until his successor is appointed. Now, with regards to the caretaker PM, interim PM, there's a lot of confusion. Apparently, there's a lot of technicalities and legalities there. Now, joining me via StreamYard is Balasubramaniam Selvam, who's an advocate and solicitor. He's joined us before, and he's here to talk about the caretaker PM. Bala, thank you very much for taking time off to be with us. I know you're a very busy man, but with what's gone on, basically, a lot of us are using different language now. Some saying caretaker, some saying, no, it's interim, it's caretaker. What do we need to know with regards to the law and what a caretaker or an interim prime minister is?
Gerard, this caretaker government or the interim prime minister is not by law. There's no definition in federal constitutions that such thing is caretaker government. This is basically being done by convention. We follow exactly like what's been in UK, where at times when there is this kind of situation arise, the king, with his prerogative powers, will appoint a caretaker government to administer and run the government temporarily until a legitimate prime minister is being appointed. So that's a caretaker government.
Right. So I guess the other question here is, is there a time limit to this appointment? Is there a time limit? And basically, what can the caretaker or interim prime minister do, and what can't he do?
Well, the caretaker government is basically being appointed by the king pursuant to the powers or authority vested with His Majesty King in accordance with Article 39 of Federal Constitutions. And the powers as vested with him is exactly the same, because he's discharging the duties of the king, whereby this is in the delegated powers while waiting for the prime minister, the actual prime minister, to take office. So in the interim, he can discharge, the prime minister can discharge all duties, but with limitations, whereby he can't enter into any treaties, policies, or initiatives, usually that been done by the prime ministers or his cabinets, because this is a temporary measure to counter what has been we are facing in these most unprecedented situations.
This being an unprecedented situation, of course, COVID is an unprecedented situation too. So there will be times where decisions need to be made with regards to the running of the country. Getting bipartisan yes or no on certain things. How does that happen?
Can you repeat the questions again, Gerard, please?
So basically, say if there's a decision that needs to be made at this point with regards to the running of the country, and they need bipartisan yes or no on it, can the prime minister carry out these duties?
Yes, certainly, yes. We have public service commissions that has been enshrined in the federal constitution, basically in Article 132. The public service commissions comprises all these government civil service, police department, armed forces, and customs department, and so forth. They will discharge. We have this KSN, Chief Secretary to the Government, Ketua Negara, and he's been assisted by KSU, the General Secretaries of the relevant ministries who are public servants. They will continue that legacy, that duties. So there's no two things about it. The government will run, but we don't have, for the time being, we don't have a cabinet. That's a legitimate cabinet that has been appointed, whereby the prime minister is being appointed pursuant to Article 43, Sub 2, Sub A. That's the only vacant year. Otherwise, the government will continue, because we have Kerajaan Diraja. We have to understand that.
So with what you have said, you've also pointed out to us that the government machinery continues to run the country with
Yes.
all those the heads like the chief secretary, the KSUs of relevant ministries. They are the ones who take charge now. Is there anything else we need to know about them running the country at this point? No, what can they do? What can't they do? Say we've got a huge program, a huge initiative now known as the vaccine rollout. That is one, and it will need a yes or no at certain turns of this whole program. So does the KSU, which KSU, or does the what call it Director General of Health step in and make those decisions? What happens?
All these DGs, Director Generals, Secretary Generals, and KSN can make what I call decisions based on the powers vested with them. But this is again limitations. They can't go beyond that border. They have to understand the policies which has been in place can be carried out, like CITF, COVID Immunization Task Force, that was formed previously by the legitimate government, PN, we would say that. But that will continue. It will continue until the next government comes, whether they want to change the policy or whatever. But treaties, international treaties, certainly this DG or this KSU or Secretary, Chief Secretary of the government, he can't enter such treaties. They have to wait for the new ministers or prime ministers to come, report to duty. Otherwise, it's all status quo. It's remained as a kind of like I would say standstill at the moment.
Right.
Standstill, whereby major policies cannot be entered. In fact, a prime minister has limitations. For example, if he wants to sign a check for some payments, I think there's a limitations up to 1 billion only, not beyond that.
Right. Before I let you go, very quickly, your thoughts on what's transpired so far from last week up until now. We had Gerald Joseph from Suhakam yesterday, and he says, with all the politicking happening, at least we know that the processes are in place according to the constitution and according to the laws in Malaysia. Your thoughts on this before I let you go, Balan?
Well, the public safety and health comes in place. We are having a situation where the COVID-19 has plagued the country. The people are suffering economically. So we have to counter that first. We look at the formation of the cabinet or the prime minister, whoever holding that positions in interim, please discharge for the best interest of the government. Because all these, you see, the parliament has not been dissolved. It's still intact. So the MPs are still in powers. They've been elected democratically, legally. So let combine both from both factions, combine and for the best interest of the Raya and the country being, in the priority for us now, counter the problems, come up with a solution, strategize, put differences aside and move forward. And we do it. We should do it at Malaysia Prihatin and Satu Malaysia. On that spirit, we should come, all together in it's like a football team. Let's counter this problem. Let these propositions all go aside at the moment for the time being.
I'd like to take this conversation. I'd like to digress a little from what we're talking about. Of course, we're still waiting for YB Fahmi to get online. He's on the move. We're trying to get him in, and he's already in. Before I let you go, very quickly, as a Malaysian citizen, and of course as an advocate and solicitor, what are your thoughts personally? Your personal thoughts on what has happened so far? Very quickly.
People have suffered enough. Let them have some peace in mind. Put aside, we've been locked down for the last 1.5 years. Our movement is restricted. Economically, everybody is down. So let the new government, or rather the new cabinet, formulate something and bring back the glory like we used to have. Malaysia is something that, it's an heaven where everybody talks about it. A small country, we made a very progressive prosperity in the past. Let's bring back that. We'll see who will take the lead. We need like someone like, Manchester United's coach, formerly Alex Ferguson, someone to bring glory and remain there for many, many years.
Right. Of course, thanks for spoiling my mood by talking about Manchester United. but thank you, Bala. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for dropping in and giving us your thoughts and views with regards to
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Gerard. Thank you.
In the meantime, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin says he will shoulder the responsibility and hopes that the appointment of a successor would be made as soon as possible. Now, elaborating, Tan Sri Muhyiddin went on to say that His Majesty asked him to act as a caretaker Prime Minister, and he immediately referred to the Attorney General with regards to the job scope. Having said that, I guess to become a Prime Minister, you have to be a great MP first. And we have on the line with us MP Fahmi Fazil, who's taken time off. He's apparently on the move, but he's joining us. YB, thank you very much for taking time off to be with us. Good to have you back again.
Thanks, Gerard.
What are your thoughts surrounding what happened in the past few days? I mean, we've seen a lot of drama in this country, and some of us, like I used to like drama. I'm too old for drama now, but what are your thoughts, personally?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's been a lot of drama, and it's some people might feel that it's unnecessary drama and things that we can do without, particularly when you're seeing a calamitous loss of life, 200, 300 deaths a day due to COVID-19. So the political drama has to end. I think because Article 43(4) has been triggered, and the Prime Minister has resigned, tendered the resignation of his entire cabinet. So now it's up to the Yang Dipertuan Agong to appoint a member of parliament that, in His Majesty's opinion, can have the support of the majority of MPs. So just before coming on air, actually, we received a letter from the clerk of the House, the Asst.Producer Dewan Rakyat, Tuan Nizam, who has instructed MPs to submit individual statutory declarations to Istana Negara by 4 p.m. tomorrow. So this is literally breaking, just in the last half hour. So I think a lot of MPs. Sorry, come again.
Thank you for breaking that piece of news for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So as a member of parliament, I just saw it in my email, and we'll wait to see what that process will be. We remember last year that individual MPs first were called to submit statutory declarations. There was a second round where, because there was no one who had a majority. So I don't know whether a similar process, albeit not in a physical form, where MPs are not gathering at Istana Negara, going to Istana Negara, but submitting directly via certain channels to to palace officials, whether there will also be a second round if there's nothing conclusive, at that time. So I think we're still in early days. I think if you remember last year, it took about 6-7 days before there was conclusion to that process of appointing a prime minister. So I suspect this time round, it might be the same length of time or slightly shorter. So let's see how things go.
Right, but just to move on from where we are, we are very critical as a people about how and what a prime minister should be, and what we're looking for in one. Now, what are your thoughts with regards to this? What do we actually want in a prime minister?
Yeah, I think in this time of national tragedy and something which is very unprecedented, we are in uncharted waters. We do need a member of parliament, a leader who is able to not only set aside political differences, but to bring people together. Someone who is collegial in approach. What that means is someone who is a team player, but also knows how to assemble the best team there is, given the talent that we have. So this requires a lot of, I suppose, wisdom, a lot of foresight, a lot of patience, but also a sense of urgency, because we don't have much time. Both in terms of how long the 14th Parliament has, which is until July 16th of 2023. That is when the 14th Parliament will end. But also in terms of the things that we're witnessing every day, the number of lives lost, the number of jobs lost. So I hope whoever is appointed will be able to reach across the aisle and work with the opposition bench in order for us to truly galvanize the nation and solve the problems now.
Right. Now, according to a political analyst, the new PM must be appointed fast, and this, he says, is to avoid affecting the tabling of budget 2022. And of course, there was Parliament sitting that was meant to happen on the 6th of September. What happens now?
Technically, we have until the 31st of December 2021 in order to pass a bill, a budget for 2022. And actually, if you look at 1999, we have precedent where what happened was there was a temporary bill that was submitted, and after that, there was a second, more full bill which was submitted and passed by the House in, I think it was April of 2000. So we have had a situation where not a full budget was passed, but something which is enough to to keep the government going for the first, say, 3-4 months of that year. And then there was a follow-up bill. So we do have time, and we have precedent, so I wouldn't be too worried. And we don't need to sit. We don't need to pass a bill in September. It has to be by the 31st of December 2021.
Now, with regards to how we play politics in this country, and I mean, for the lack of a better word or phrase, a lot of people talk about the anti-hopping law. We talk about it, but yet no one, I know we're not brave enough to want to get there. Do you think that should happen soon before we even look towards the next elections?
Yeah, I agree. I think we do need to have some kind of political consensus on this point, and I think that was what Tan Sri Muhyiddin tried to offer a bit late in the day in order to get our support. But I think going forward, it is something which many MPs feel is necessary in order for us to have some kind of political stability. But more than that, it's there has to be political consensus that in order to ensure that the events that we've seen, particularly over the last 2 years, do not repeat itself in the future.
Now, when we talk about political stability, and probably this is my last question to you before I ask you another question with regards to entertainment. When we talk about political stability, what, apart from an anti-hopping law, what is sorely needed at this point, in your opinion?
Yeah, we do need, actually, it's not just laws, we need a political consensus. So there has to be some kind of an understanding, a new understanding about the rules of engagement in Malaysian politics. So the kind of things that we've seen, pilfering MPs, threatening MPs, or using different agencies, in order to coax or coerce MPs, that has to stop. I think now we have to have an understanding where, in order for us to form government, we should have like the rules of engagement not shift so much, particularly come GE 50.
Right. Before I let you go, I would like to bring in our next guest. And what do you know about Elvis, YB? Yesterday was International Elvis Day. We didn't say no one celebrated.
Is that right?
Yes,
right?
very. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we have Sunny, an Elvis tribute artist, who's joining us. So, I mean, are you a big fan of Elvis?
Well, it's before my time, but I do like some of his songs, indeed.
Right.
Yeah.
With that, thank you very much, YB. We hope to have more of you on air. Say hello to Elvis Sunny Tai before you go.
Hi, Sunny.
Elvis. Sunny, how are you? YB is saying hello to you.
Hello, how are you? I'm fine. Hello,
Okay, good.
hello YB. Hello, YB.
Okay,
YB, thank you very much.
thank you. See you.
Take care, YB.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
That was YB Fahmi Fazil joining us to give us his thoughts on the political situation in this country and what we must do to bring an end to the political crisis, or at least his thoughts on it. Well, Sunny, thanks for joining us. So on air with us right now, I'm honored to have Elvis Sunny Tai, who's a tribute artist, isn't it? You're a tribute artist to Elvis.
Yes.
Tell us about what a tribute artist does, and I'll tell you later why we are celebrating Elvis today.
Well, then, an Elvis tribute artist is has got to be interested in Elvis from the very beginning, which means that he must be a fan of Elvis from the early days, and he likes the song. He likes the song of Elvis, and if he loves singing, and if he has got a voice, you can just try to sing his songs. That's how we call ourselves an Elvis tribute artist.
Fantastic. Well, just for the benefit of the viewer, if you're just joining us on the show and you're wondering, in the midst of a political crisis and things that are happening within the country with COVID and all, why are we talking about Elvis? Yesterday was International Elvis Day. We were meant to celebrate it yesterday. We didn't quite get it. So we got sunny today. And, being in, there are lots of Elvis fans in this country. What is it about Elvis that people like? What is it about his persona, his song, his voice? What is it that people like about him? I know it's that rock and roll factor here in Malaysia, but what more than that can you tell us?
Elvis has got a very unique voice, and the lyrics the lyrics are very meaningful. I mean, if you look into every song that he has sung, right, the lyrics are indeed very meaningful. It tells also partly about his life, I think,
Right.
And that's why I love singing his songs. It's very meaningful. Every song that he has sung is very meaningful. It was very meaningful till this day.
How has Elvis touched your life?
Well, it has touched me tremendously because I love singing his songs, especially the ballads. Yeah? Not those fast ones, but the ballads are very meaningful, and that's great. That's really great for me.
Right, but that's you in action right there. I mean, very quickly, if I can try this out, it's now or never. Did I get that right? Come on, you need to coach me here a little bit.
It's now or never. Come home me tight. Kiss me, my darling. Be mine tonight. Tomorrow will be too late. It's now or never. My love won't wait.
Bravo.
Yep, that's it. That's how it is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. As we celebrate Elvis, or the celebration was yesterday, we've continued it today. What's your message to all Elvis fans in Malaysia, all the diehard fans who are still around?
Please do continue with your interest in Elvis, and try to be an Elvis tribute artist for the young enthusiasts. You see, if they can, try to imitate him if you can, and the best of luck to them. Just practice, and you'll be all right.
Right. So
that's what I would tell you.
Also, before I let you go, I'd like to know, you've spent a lot on the jumpsuit, the Elvis jumpsuit, the sunglasses. What's a must-have for an Elvis fan? Should he or she have a jumpsuit? What's the Elvis dress code kit? What's the must-have?
In the 1950s, it's just a blazer and a t-shirt and that's all. But the jumpsuit era came in 1970s. That's the 1970s jumpsuit era, and I would like to be in that jumpsuit era, because I think yes.
Right.
I'm more on the jumpsuit era. Yeah.
Right. So most Elvis fans kind of go back or gravitate to the jumpsuit era. That's what they like most. Well, I know you have the Elvis pair of sunglasses on you. How do you look when you put it on? And what does Elvis say? Put it on and say something like Elvis. We're celebrating Elvis today.
Yeah, but if you put on just the sunglasses, right? It cannot be any other sunglasses. You try to get the original or whatever, a duplicate of the Elvis design. Right. So that's how it is. Yeah.
So put on the sunglasses now and say something like Elvis before I let you go.
All right. Try to get a duplicate or original of Elvis specs. Okay.
Right.
And
okay.
see how it goes on you.
How much would the original cost?
The original was quite a big amount because I'm not sure. This is a duplicate. This is a duplicate. I got to order it from, I got ordered it from London. I ordered this from London. That was quite about 20 years back. Yeah, that's it. And it was only about £7.
Right.
I paid this, but now I don't know. I've not got the original one. I don't have. You see,
With that,
but it's good enough,
Right.
But I think it's
With
the overall personality of Elvis.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure having you on the
Pleasure.
to celebrate the great man, or the king himself, Elvis Presley. It was International Elvis Presley Day yesterday. We'd like to thank Elvis Sonny, or rather Elvis Sonny Thai, for taking time off to be with us to talk a little bit about Elvis and his life. Of course, audio wasn't too good, but we made it happen. We also like to thank YB Fahmi Fazil for joining us, and Balan, the advocate and solicitor, who joined us earlier on the program. I'm Gerard Ratnam, wrapping up today's edition of the Midday Update. Have a great day ahead, but stay with us right here on Bernama TV for more updates. Gerard Ratnam signing out.